So Disney Plus Day is over, and we didn't get much. Well, we did, but we didn't. So let me go into it even further. So Disney Plus Day, if you don't know what it is, it's basically a celebratory day where Disney brings out loads of content or has an event at Disneyland's and stuff like that. But this year, Star Wars was a bit disappointing. So let's go into it. So Disney Plus this year released loads of new films, including the likes of Jungle Cruise. And they also released a load of new Marvel things for the likes of, there's a Groot animated series, the Eternals I think was announced even further. Stuff like that was all announced, but that's not Star Wars. Now what did Star Wars get? We got all of two things. I know, massive. So, whereas everyone else was getting new films, new shows, Marvel got like 9 new things at least. We got 2, and one of them was pictures. It was really depressing. So let me go into it. So Disney Plus have released a Into the Helmet thing, which is similar to how the Mandalorian documentary worked. When that was released, where it's showing you how it was made. Can't for the life of me remember the name of it. But it's similar to that and showing how the Book of Boba is going to be made, or was made. Obviously, it's not released yet, Book of Boba, but it is coming soon. Obviously, I made a video on the trailer of that. But other than that, there's not really much stuff to do with the Book of Boba, other than showing off that. If you guys do want to see that, then it is on Disney Plus. Now, the other thing we got was a ObiWan Kenobi reel, as in for the show Kenobi. Now, this showed a rematch of Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. I'll go into that in a second. And it showed stuff with an Inquisitor. I'll go into that in a second. But first, the other things weren't really that interesting. But first, we're going to be talking about inference of the first picture of importance. The Obi-Wan versus Anakin. Or the Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader. The rematch. Obviously, they had their fight on Mustafar. Now they've had a rematch. And inference, here we go. My English teachers will be proud of me. So we will take note that if they did fight, they would have to be on a separate planet to Tatooine. We know that at this point in time, Obi-Wan is on Tatooine. He went on Tatooine at the end of Revenge of the Sith. We know that. And it was shown that he was there until Luke's 18th birthday, when obviously Luke joined the rebellion, and then they blew up the Death Star, in which Obi-Wan was dead. Or he was killed, probably say, more grammatically correct then, but he's dead now. So, we know that he must have travelled off Tatooine to actually go and fight Vader. Now, you may be thinking, how do I know this from just looking at a picture? Well, other than the picture itself, the background itself, neither here or there. They can change the background. It's concept art. Now, the thing of importance is the fact that it's a fight between Obi-Wan and Vader. Vader did not know that Obi-Wan was on Tatooine. Therefore, Obi-Wan cannot be on Tatooine to fight. So no matter where it is, it cannot be Tatooine. We also know the fact that Vader would never return to Tatooine. But he did in the comics. But he hated it. But he only went there after the Death Star's explosion. And that is when he first found out that Obi-Wan was on Tatooine throughout those years. So we know that they cannot fight in Tatooine. They have to go off-world. Now you may be thinking, why is that so amazing? Well, that means that there must have been a significant reason for Obi-Wan to have left looking over Luke. We know that Obi-Wan was looking over Luke throughout those years, not just from comics and books and whatever, but also it was explicitly told us, not just in New Hope, but in Rebels, on the fight scene with Maul. Maul said, protecting someone, and Obi-Wan got worried and killed him. And the whole fight scene was very significant because Obi-Wan hadn't left Luke, but he had. Now that is important because it shows that there must have been a reason for Obi-Wan to have left. And it must have been significant enough for him to have left. Now, I doubt he would have gone just to fight Vader, because that's not in Obi-Wan's nature. He doesn't go out of his way to go fight someone if he doesn't have to. And if it's not a threat to the Jedi Order. which it wasn't, because all he knew was that it was him and Yoda, and Luke was potential. That's all he knew, and he knew that Yoda wouldn't be found because he's in Dagobah, and who would go to a swamp? So, yeah, it's kind of important that. Now, the next one is the fact of an inquisitor. Now, this inquisitor is a female. Now, there are a couple of options for this one to be. I have two options I would like it to be. So, the first one is the fact that it could be the inquisitor that we saw in Rebels, as in the female inquisitor. I think it was the Sixth Sister, was it? Something like that. Now, that would be all well and good. It would be a throwback to a previous series again. That's already been made back into Rebels. We've already made that connection in other series such as The Mandalorian. So it's not an, out of the blue thing for Disney to do and Lucasfilm to actually create a tie-in to Rebels, because they always like tying it into things. However, I would personally prefer the second option, and that is that the Inquisitor is Barriss Offee. Now, the issue is with that one is that yes, it does make sense that Barriss would become an Inquisitor. The fact that she decided that the dark side was a better option, not necessarily the dark side, but the Jedi was not a viable option because the war had changed her views on the Jedi Order as a whole, so she left. We know that in Season 5 of the Clone Wars, where she was, the wrong Jedi, whole arc with Ahsoka being blamed, and then she was put in prison. Now, that all makes sense, right? That all actually makes total sense as to how it could be Barriss. Now, the only thing I would say is that the Inquisitors were the men or whatever of Darth Vader. And we know that Darth Vader was Anakin, obviously. And Anakin was very close to Ahsoka. And Ahsoka was betrayed by Barriss. Kind of get what I'm going at here. So if she did become an Inquisitor, how did Vader forgive her for betraying Ahsoka? Because although Vader is not Anakin, there are still views that Vader would have against people that hurt Anakin and hurt Ahsoka. For example, he killed Watto because he enslaved him in the comics. And that was an Anakin thing. That wasn't a Vader thing. That was an Anakin thing. And we know that, Vader was the one who found Ahsoka's lightsaber. Vader didn't have to go. They were Inquisitors at that point. So, yes, Vader would not turn back to the light from Ahsoka. And yes, in the final credits scene of the Clone Wars, it was not Anakin, it was Vader. But Vader didn't have to go. It was still a psychological thing by Anakin to have gone. So I don't think that Vader would want Barriss to become part of the Inquisitor program, because he'd rather kill her. He has the ability to kill her now, because he doesn't need a confession. He doesn't need to stick to the code of the Jedi, because he is not a Jedi. So he could just kill her. So that is the only thing I have as to why it might not be Barriss. But I really wish it was, because we don't know what happened to her, really, in terms of actual productivity and the producer's way of saying this is what happened to Barriss after Order 66. All we know is that she was put in prison, and at some point she was escaped. We know this because she's not in the Jedi thing years after, unless she rotted to death. But I doubt that would be a very viable option. So I do hope they go into more detail about Barriss in this, and I do hope it is her, and they explain a way as to why she's allowed on as the Inquisitor program if it is Barriss. But anyway, that is enough for today. So that is all I have time for. So thank you guys for watching. If you have enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. If you want to go into more detail, or you've got any other Star Wars news that you want me to go into and make a video on, please do let me know in the comments below. Drop a like in this video. And if you are enjoying longer videos like this one and the one before it, which was Clash of Clans, then again, let me know. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Goodbye.